I can't believe I got booed before I even opened my first meeting. Wow, that's pretty harsh. So, welcome Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and services. Today is July 8th, and one of the things I wanted to build into the year will be a historical thought, kind of this date in history. So July 8th, 1776, and this is partly in honor, my father was here last week. I said he was a public school teacher. He was actually a history teacher, so a lot of our family vacations were of historical nature, but obviously July 8th, 1776, the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence occurred in Philadelphia when Colonel John Nixon read the document to a crowd 4 days after the adoption by the Second Continental Congress. So hopefully everyone had a wonderful July 4th holiday, and today we recognize and remember that historic event for our country. Today and today only, we will start our meeting with reading of the four-way test. I'll warn you now, we're only going to read the four-way test when we're inducting new members, so you can mark your calendars accordingly. I just always have worried a little bit about the cult-like atmosphere that might create for some visitors and guests. So if you would, please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will build goodwill and better friendships. Will be beneficial to all concerned. So Rotarians use the four-way test to guide our actions and words. The Rotary Club of York is committed to celebrating the diversity and uniqueness of all people, treating everyone with courtesy, dignity, and respect, and we expect the same from everyone that we encounter. Embracing diversity and promoting equity is essential for the betterment of our club, the community, and the world. Today, our opening song will be led by President-elect nominee Cal Weary, our invocation by past District Governor Dick Brown, and then visitor introductions by past President John Kleindienst. So quite an accomplished group here. So Cal.
Rotarians, please join me. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. What a nice group. As gathered Rotarians and friends, we thank you for this beautiful day of fellowship, for nutritious food and water, and for those who have prepared and served it to us. When we leave this place today, may all our actions lead us to have peace of mind so that we may spread peace in the world. May we be responsible stewards of this earth, treating it with respect so that we may pass an ever greener earth to our children. May our own friendliness help spread happiness to all we meet. May our health be such that we can help others less blessed. May our business lives flourish so that we may spread this earth's blessings to those less fortunate. And may our commitment to the ideals of Rotary help guide us in this journey. Amen.
Good afternoon. It's my honor to introduce our guest for today. When I call your name, if you're a guest, please stand and remain standing until the president has welcomed you. We have no visiting Rotarians today, but our guests are Shauna Griffith-Myers, guest of Amy Billinger, Allison Strathmeyer, also a guest of Amy, Sully Pinos, guest of Sterling Dunlap, Nader Mahmouzadeh. Sorry, I had that practiced. I even went over it with our guest, a guest of Tom Caltagirone. So that you see what Tom does to us. He brings two 4-syllable names there. And Vinnie Rosette, a guest of Christian Fitzpatrick. President Doug.
Guests, we're so happy to have you with us today. Hopefully you'll enjoy the meeting. If you did not enjoy the fellowship over the lunch, I'd suggest coming back and sitting at a different table. But great to have you here today. Sully has now moved into the lead on the YCEA standings for attendance. So Rotarians, please help me join or welcome our guests today. You may be seated. Before I get into the announcements, I did want to just express my appreciation for last week's passing of the gavel ceremony. I don't know when that became a roast of the incoming club president, but it was certainly enjoyable, exceeded my expectations. I know some of you have referred to that as the most boring program of the year, and perhaps between that and the July 4th holiday, perhaps attendance was a little lower than normal. But if you weren't here, I would highly encourage you to pull up the video. It's now available on YouTube. It was really a special day. We recognized outgoing President Wilda and all her accomplishments for the year. We presented her with 3 gifts, including a giant gavel, which I've seen many pictures of her yielding that in public. So I think she likes that gift. But special thanks to Kevin Schreiber. Again, in a moment of weakness, I asked Kevin to do my introduction. Again, that quickly turned into a roast, but Sully, if you would take back my appreciation for his efforts and really those of the YCA team, because if you saw the music video that they did, Kevin's not talented enough to do that on his own. So clearly the YCA marketing team was working hard there. We also recognize past President John Schmidt. I know he's in the back of the room, but again, this is just such a cool statistic, I think. But it is exactly 50 years since John Schmidt was president of this club. So again, it's kind of an anniversary year for him. John, I'm not going to promise. Maybe that'll be the last time I bring that up. But again, it's what a great milestone. And now for a few announcements for the week. The announcement. Yeah, there we go. All right. The Rotary Board will meet tomorrow at 8 a.m. on Zoom. The Membership Engagement Committee will meet on July 13th at 8 a.m. on Teams. And the Communications Committee will meet on July 14th at noon on Zoom. Now, I'd like to ask Phil Woods to come forward and present an update on the York Rotary Grants Committee.
Thank you, President Doug. As a reminder, the Grants Committee reviews LOIs and applications for organizations who are having programs or projects that impact youth cultivation in the city of York or positively impact the environment in the city of York. That could be the social environment, cultural environment, and of course, the natural and built environment. So this year we received 24 LOIs. We were able to identify 17 projects and programs that met our criteria, and we forwarded those to formal application. So I'd like to pause, and any committee members in the room, just raise your hand. Thank you for your efforts. These individuals had to independently score and review all of those 17 applications. At that point, we convened to further discuss the aggregate scores, the cumulative totals, and then also each application. So this year, we had the ability to grant $50,000. We had $25,000 originally in our budget, and then it was matched with an additional $25,000 by the club. So we were able to fully fund 3 of the projects and about 95% of 3 others. So thank you for your continued support and generosity, because again, we were able to make impact to the tune of $50,000. So just a brief summary of some of the programs, no particular order. Accountability for Life has a summer program. They put in a request for this year's summer program to provide life skills coaching, academic support, and athletic training to at-risk youth from York City. That grant amount was $10,000. And next is a grant to Girl Scouts in the heart of Central PA. This is for their academic edge outreach program, empowering young girls in the school district of the city of York. This is specifically for the K through 8 age group, and it's a curriculum. It's free. It's curriculum-based and innovative early childhood education initiative within the Girl Scout leadership experience, and it serves, again, K through 8 students in the school district of the city of York. Next, we have Ferguson. Make sure I'm out of order here. Here we go. So Ferguson, this is for a the first component of a cumulative project, but this is to erect a greenhouse. And I think the cool thing about this is that the PPE committee has already put themselves in action with this project. So it's going to be a really cool coordinated project. We were able to grant them some dollars to help erect that greenhouse, and then PPE already stepped in to volunteer their time, skills, and expertise in that effort. Next is JA. So Junior Achievement, of course, has BizTown, and this grant was awarded specifically for York City School District students. It's an immersive educational program that combines teacher-led classroom curriculum with hands-on simulation at BizTown, their 8,000 square foot town. And then Keystone Kid Space. Keystone Kid Space is an $8,000 grant. This is going to help introduce York City school students to skilled trades well before the high school years and early adulthood. And finally, the York County Food Bank. There's a lot of ats in this, but it's the kids at the market, the pumpkin patch at market at Princess Street. Through a much needed upgrade to our facility in York City on West Princess, the York County Food Bank will enhance our ability to address immediate hunger needs while tackling root causes for food insecurity. Again, can't say thank you enough, and special thanks to President-elect Kelly Gibson. I started chairing this committee just this year with some pressure, and Kelly was very generous with her support, her knowledge, and some compassion in there too. So again, thank you, Rotary Club of York, for being so generous. It was an honor to be able to award 6 organizations with, again, 3 fully funded requests, and the other 3 being at 94 or 95%. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Bill, thank you for your leadership of the grants committee and the grants process. Those are really exciting projects, and so great to see, again, the impact that we're able to have on our community. Next, I'm going to ask Pavle to come forward and talk about one of my favorite events, Love for Community, which is right around the corner. So, Pavle.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. And I motion to actually make the incoming president a roast every year. I thought that was amazing. And I disagree with anybody who said the meeting was boring. I had a great time. So good afternoon, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Pavle Badavinak, and I'm on the fundraising committee. And I've got some exciting news and updates for everybody regarding our Love for Community event. So mark your calendars, everyone. It's right around the corner. September will be here in no time. The date for our event is September 14th. For anyone who has not been there yet, this event it's amazing. I've been to a lot of golf outings and a lot of charity events in my day, and this event does more than check all the boxes. We've got everything from pickleball, cornhole, tennis, croquet, great food, great networking, silent and live auctions. It's really a blowout event, and we go all out every year. So it's also our flagship fundraising event. This is really the only big fundraiser that we do as the Rotary Club. So I do want to give a huge shout out to our presenting sponsors, because without them, this event would not be possible. They really stepped up and answered the call. So I'd like to thank North Industrial Chemical and Fox 43 for their generosity. It really sets the tone for the entire event. And again, we would not be able to do this without them. So a big round of applause for them. Now, here's my ask and what we need from you as Rotarians. We're still looking for sponsorships. And honestly, we're a bit behind on where we'd like to be from a sponsorship level standpoint. So I'm asking kindly if your company can sponsor the event. Now is the time to step up, and every dollar makes a difference. So even if it's the lowest sponsorship, or you're just getting a dinner ticket, every dollar counts. And again, it's our flagship fundraiser. So a lot of what we do as a Rotary Club flows through this event. So again, every dollar counts. We're also looking for auction donations, silent and live auction items, big or small. Volunteers as well. We need hands on deck across all of the sports for the event. And it's a long day. There's a lot of things that need to get done. We have a lot of volunteers already signed up, but if anybody would like to get involved, feel free to reach out to me or Phil after the meeting. We'll make it super easy for you. So I just want to reiterate that this is our only fundraiser for the year. I know I've said that 2 or 3 times, but as Rotarians, I think it's important that we all step up and contribute any way that we can. So feel free to find me after the meeting if you'd like to get involved. Volunteer sponsorships and auction donations would be great, and we're highly looking for them. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text, whatever works for you. I'll certainly try to make it as easy as I can for you to get involved. So thanks everyone. And let's make this Love for Community this year the best event yet.
Thank you, Pavel, and thank you to the fundraising committee. Again, looking forward to that day in September, and what we can do with all those proceeds. So looking for everybody's help with that. Final announcement from our communications committee, and I asked Sarah White to come forward. Are you surprised by this?
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to be able to award this awesome Rotary branded Yeti cooler to one of the members who participated in our contest recently. Everyone who signed up will be getting 2 tickets to the York Fair. We will follow up, so keep an eye out for an email from us on that. But today, I would like to award this to one randomly selected participant, and that is Alicia Stanley.
Congratulations, Alicia. Okay, so now moving on to new member induction. So exciting for my first meeting to get to bring in some new members. I mentioned last week as part of my comments, one of the things I did was reach out to 10 past presidents to get their advice for the upcoming year. And I'll point out that Al Sykes was the one that offered this advice, and I'm about to go against it, which was never give the microphone to Josh George. And here I am in my first meeting. I mess up I'm not sure I messed it up, but it was a little light on the warning bell. But now I'm going to ask Josh George to come forward and reluctantly give the mic to him. So
Well, thank you, President Doug. It's a term that I'm not comfortable saying yet, so maybe by the end of the Rotary year, the term President Doug will actually feel good. Right now, I think I need a shower. So, every new president has a challenge. They have to become president. They have to figure out how this stuff works. They spend a couple of years doing it. But Lynn takes pity on them and she invites 6 new members to join on their first meeting as president. So this is all Lynn. This has nothing to do with Doug, trust me. All right. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to 6 new members today. We go in alphabetical order because that's the way the slides go on the screen whenever they get over here. There we go. First today, we welcome Vernon Bracey. Vernon is a graduate of York Catholic High School. He went on to the Pennsylvania Institute of Technology, where he earned his associates in mechanical engineering, and then went on to Eastern University, where he earned his Bachelor of Arts in Organizational Management. He serves as the Chief Operating Officer at Crispus Attucks. He is a past board chair at Crispus Attucks. He is an advisory board member at Fulton Bank. He's a board member for Building Solid Foundations, and he's a past board member for the York County History Center, amongst many others. His hobbies include cycling and travel, and he is proposed by Frank Countess. Ladies and gentlemen, Vernon Bracey. Now, I should point out, Vernon and I have known each other for a long time. About 20 years ago, we served on the board of the York City General Authority together, and we both had hair. Welcome, Vernon. Next up, we have Joe Grohall. Joe is a graduate of Canon McMillan High School, which is in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. Also happens to be the high school that my dad went to all those many years ago. So it's a nice little connection here for Joe and I to chat about. Joe went on to Penn State, where he earned his Bachelor of Science in Structural Design, and he serves as the Director of Electrical Engineering for Providence Engineering here in York. His community service includes serving as a finance committee member for St. John the Baptist Church. He's a 3rd-degree Knight in the Knights of Columbus, and he's also been a baseball and softball coach for his kids' sports teams. His hobbies include reading, golf, fishing, and hunting. He is married to Liz. They are the parents of Matthew, who's 22, and Julia, who is 19. And he is proposed for membership by Matthew Hoffman. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Grohall. Next, we have the most challenging name on the list in terms of pronunciation, Dami Odubami. And I probably screwed that up, but it was close. So I think, Dami, if you would just wave and smile so everybody knows who you are. What? Hardest name to pronounce, no slide? That is not right. This is Doug hazing me, I think. Lynn, I think you're screwing with us now. That's what I thought. Grohall, Odubami, G-O, right? All right. Dami went to the Babcock University, where he earned his Bachelor of Science in International Law and Diplomacy, and went on to the University of Baltimore, where he earned his master's degree in Public Administration. He serves as a Senior Associate Director of Day Supports for the Shadowfax Corporation. His hobbies include listening to podcasts, watching soccer, and cooking. He is married to Aaliyah, and he is proposed for membership by Amy Brillinger. Ladies and gentlemen, Dami Odubami. Not in alphabetical order. Go with the slides, Lynn says. All right. Next up, we have Linda Randall. Now, Linda is probably very unfamiliar to all of you, because she's only been here about 500 times over the years. So welcome, Linda, as an official member. She is a graduate of Muhlenberg Township High School, went on to Millersville University, where she earned her Bachelor of Science in Education, and then Shippensburg University, where she earned her master's degree in education. She's a partner for New Level Advisors. Her community service includes serving as a past board chair for the York Symphony Orchestra, a past board chair for the York County Library System, and a past board member for the Burns Health Education Center, the YWCA, and the York County Economic Alliance. Obviously, she likes to serve on boards and support this community. Her hobbies include reading, exercising, playing mahjong, and being a grandma. She is married to this guy named Rich Randall. I don't think any of you have ever met Rich. If you haven't, he's over here sitting, and you can say hi to him after the meeting. They are the parents of Julie and Lauren, And Linda was a member of our club for a couple of years, a few years back. I don't know exactly when, but a few years ago. And it's nice to have her back. And as you might expect, she is proposed for membership by Rich Randall. Ladies and gentlemen, Linda Randall. All right, we're up to Claire Weigel. Claire is also known as CJ. So Claire, say hi. He is a graduate of Red Lion Area High School. He went on to York College where he earned his Bachelor of Science in International Relations. He serves as the Vice President of Operations for Ream Printing. His community service includes serving as a member of the Red Lion Masonic Lodge. He's a board member for YCAL. He's a supervisory committee member for the NCFCU, the New Cumberland Federal Credit Union, and he's an executive committee member for the Hanover Chamber. His hobbies include golf, reading, and spending time with the kids. He is married to Rebecca, and they are the parents of Carter, who is 5, and Haley Jean, who is 2. And he is proposed for membership by Jean Ream, who is also a member of our club. Many of you have forgotten Jean because she hasn't been here in a very long time because she's spending time with her grandkids. That's both a nice way to say hi, Jean, and also a mean way to say hi, Jean. So hello, Jean. Ladies and gentlemen, CJ Weigel. And keeping with the alphabetical order, Roth Prep. Roth is a graduate of William Penn High School. He went on to York College of Pennsylvania, where he earned his Bachelor of Science in Music. He serves as the executive director. Roger. He serves as the executive director of the York Art Association. His community service includes being a pianist for the York County Honors Choir and also the Bethany United Methodist Church. And he is a 40 under 40 recipient from a couple of years ago in 2022. His hobbies include playing the piano, visiting museums, reading, writing, and drawing. And he is proposed for membership by past District Governor Ben Hoover. Ladies and gentlemen, Roth Prep.
So excited to induct 6 new members on my second, I guess this is my second official meeting as president. So I'm not very good with numbers, but if I average 6 new members a week or 6 new members every 2 weeks, that'll be like 400 members by the end of this year. So we're off to a great start. So welcome to the new members. Again, we look forward to having you involved in the, not just attending our meetings, but getting involved. Certainly, you heard from the committees today. I think that'd be a great way to really make an impact on the club. So look over the committee list and pick one that's of interest to you and get involved as soon as possible. So again, if everybody could just welcome our new members one more time. You all can be seated now. So that wraps up all of our announcements. Some pretty exciting stuff. Now I'll ask past President Ann Druck to come forward and introduce today's program.
Thank you, President Doug. Well, apparently somebody's got to clean up after the elephants. Blake, thank you for staying. World-renowned architect Frank Lloyd Wright stated that physicians bury their mistakes. Architects can only tell their clients to plant vines. Luckily, our city is blessed with incredible craftsmanship. And today's speaker is not planting vines. He's bringing these historic buildings to life. We all know our downtown is facing real-world business transitions. We see it in the news. We heard it recently from the owner and speaker of My Girlfriend's Closet as businesses adapt to changing landscapes. But while tenants may change, York's spectacular architecture remains. It cannot easily be replaced. It is a captive asset that defines our community's identity. Our speaker today is a stalwart curator of those assets. Blake Gifford is a founder of York Architecture Illustrated, a creative educational initiative launched in 2022 that explores our city's built environment through intricate drawings, walking tours, and public programs. His work merges design, storytelling, and community advocacy to spark public conversation about our architectural heritage. Blake doesn't talk preservation, he actively drives it. He serves on York City's Historic Architectural Review Board, the York Art Association Board of Directors, and the York County History Center's Building and Grounds Committee. Professionally, he serves our Commonwealth at the Pennsylvania Department of General Services as Design and Construction Project Manager for the Capital and Historic Division. Through his art and advocacy, Blake invites residents and visitors alike to see our familiar streets with fresh eyes, reminding us that York's rich history isn't just preserved in books, it's etched into the very bricks and mortar that line our streets. And getting to meet Blake today, I also learned that he is a native of Texas, and yes, a distant relative, not of Frank Lloyd Wright, but Frank Gifford. So please join me in a warm Rotary welcome for Blake Gifford.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. You guys are brutal. Can I just say, like, this is, I'm just hoping that you go easy on me today, since nobody really knows my personal details, which is lovely. But with that, I guess I can just get started. So hello, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me today. My name is, again, Blake Gifford, and I'm here to share something I've been building over the last few years with my company, York Architecture Illustrated. What started as a collection of hand-drawn studies of York's historic buildings has gradually evolved into walking tours, drawing workshops, preservation advocacy, and other community initiatives, all with the goal of helping people build a deeper appreciation for the city around them. So by training, I'm a licensed architect here in Pennsylvania with 10 years of experience as a designer and project manager across the private and public sectors. I spent about 8 years as a designer in private firms, including Murphy & Dittenhafer and Warehouse here in York. And for the last 2 years, I've been working, as Ann mentioned, with the Department of General Services, managing projects across the Capitol complex in Harrisburg and at state-owned museums and historic properties throughout the Commonwealth. For about 5 years, my daily commute was a 4-block walk along Market Street from my apartment near Queen Street to the office along the creek. Every day, I passed by the same buildings, and I admired them, but I realized that I didn't really know them. For some context, I grew up in suburban Houston, where I always dreamed of living and working not in a large, overdeveloped city, but a walkable small town. And moving to York gave me that opportunity, but even as an architect, I felt strangely disconnected from the architecture around me. So I started drawing. One by one, I drew the buildings I passed each morning. And with every drawing came more and more new questions. Who built this? What style is this? Why does the roof cornice look different from its neighbor? Those drawings pushed me into research of old illustrated maps, archives, oral histories, and slowly I began to see York not as a collection of individual buildings, but as a continuous thread of history woven together. Before long, I wasn't simply just drawing buildings anymore, I was learning how to actually read the city. Eventually, I began sharing these drawings online through a project I called York Architecture Illustrated. What started as this personal effort to better understand the place where I lived gradually grew into something much larger. The drawings turned into conversations, the conversations turned into walking tours, the walking tours led to presentations, workshops, and preservation advocacy. Today, York Architecture Illustrated has kind of become my way of sharing what I discovered all those years ago, that York's buildings, when read carefully, tell this incredible story of the city's growth, resilience, and reinvention. That journey has also given me the opportunity to study some of York's most recognizable landmarks, or an excuse to study them, I should say. Some still standing, and many lost long ago. So I'd love to share a few of my favorite projects I've done so far with you today. The first is the 1741 Golden Plough Tavern and the adjoining 1751 General Horatio Gates House, two of York's oldest surviving buildings. The Golden Plough, on the left, was built in the German colonial tradition, reflecting construction techniques associated with the German Black Forest, while the Gates House on the right is an English Georgian design, far more ordered and symmetrical than its German neighbor. Another favorite is the 1877 Laurel Rex Fire Station, the longest continuously operating fire station in the country, and a beautiful high-style Victorian Italianate standout among its contemporaries in York City. Another is the 1888 Central Market House, designed, of course, by renowned local architect John Dempwolf in the Victorian Romanesque Revival style. Still active and flourishing today, it remains one of the most striking buildings fronting both Philadelphia and Beaver Street. Of course, after drawing the exterior of the market, I wanted to better understand how the building actually worked. So I created this sectional cutaway. Here you can see the massive volume of intricate open space, I should say, created by the intricate framework of timber beams and roof rafters that all allow sunlight to flow across the market floor. Moving into the 20th century, this is the 1931 York Telephone and Telegraph Company building on Beaver Street. Oh, thanks for the increased volume there. Perfect. And while the building is fairly simple in its overall massing, it comes alive through this very unique sculptural ornamentation throughout, which blends Art Deco and classical influences. While landmark buildings, of course, are often the ones to receive the most attention, it has been just as important to me to document the everyday fabric of York. Much of the city was built during the Industrial Revolution and the turn of the 20th century through long rows of brick homes that housed upper and working class families alike. Together, these repeating row homes are just as much a part of York's identity as its more monumental architecture. I've also experimented with different forms of architectural visualization to help tell York's history in ways that traditional drawings sometimes can't. One example is this cutaway view of the comfort stations located beneath the southeast corner of Continental Square. This facility operated regularly from 1929 until the late 1970s and remains one of the square's most unique, if hidden, historic features. On a related note, one series I return to several times a year focuses on what I call phantom places, lost or demolished sites that once helped define a place or a neighborhood, but whose absence has left a hole in the built landscape. York, as we know, is absolutely a city of phantom places that all invite us to examine the decisions behind their destruction and the lessons that still echo from the past. One of my most involved efforts to reconstruct a lost building from York's past was the City Market Reconstruction Project. The City Market stood for nearly a century at the corner of Duke and Princess Streets before being unceremoniously torn down by the 1960s. Still has really not been replaced with anything. And today it survives mostly in photographs and memories. People may know its name or have seen a few old photos, but very few can truly understand what it was like to be in the presence of this downtown monument. And I wanted to change that. So using historic photographs, architectural drawings, maps, and archival research, I created a detailed three-dimensional reconstruction of the entire building, along with a series of virtual walking tours that allow people to experience firsthand this place that was wiped off the map more than 60 years ago. While many of these projects focus on individual buildings, I've also wanted to understand York better at the scale of the city itself. The first of these projects that I put out last year, which I called The Crossing, focuses on the intersection of West Market Street and the Codorus Creek through a series of aerial views capturing different centuries and eras. Those include the early 1730s, the 1740s, 1830s, 1920s, and the present day. Continuing that idea and in honor of America's 250th anniversary, I just recently released a series of images documenting a first-person view of Continental Square as it would have appeared around the time that the Declaration of Independence was signed. This series focuses on the colonial architecture that surrounded the original colonial courthouse at the center of Continental Square. So that has really been the rhythm of the last few years for me. One project, one research challenge, and one discovery after another. And with each piece, I find some new connection to another member of the community, someone whose own personal history may include these places, or someone who appreciates seeing a place they love through a more focused lens. Sharing this work with the local community has been a regular reminder of how many others also share the same love of York and, in my opinion, its often overlooked beauty. Naturally, all this research eventually led to another part of York Architecture Illustrated, that being historic architectural walking tours. I found myself so fascinated by York's built environment that I simply wanted to talk about it to somebody, and to learn as much as I could about these stories and then share them with other people. I first started giving volunteer tours of the Bonham House with the History Center, and from there it didn't take long for me to begin laying out my first architectural tour of Market Street. And it only made sense that my first walking tour followed the same route that I used to walk every day along Market Street from the Cadorus Creek to Continental Square. From West Market Street to the Cadorus Creek, I should say. And starts in front of one of the earliest examples of colonial era architecture in York, that being, of course, the Golden Plough Tavern. The architecture of this block allows us to tell York's story from the very beginning, from its start as a frontier town and the first town west of the Susquehanna River, to the rapid Victorian and early 20th century developments that shaped the city as we know it today. On the tour of West Market Street, we analyzed the detailed storefronts of York's retail heyday, along with places where hints of colonial and 19th century history can still be read through the streetscape. We talk about the spots where George Washington and Charles Dickens stopped to hang their hats, and as well as the post-war five and dimes and department stores that many residents still remember visiting as children. While the tour begins near the 1976 reconstruction of the original colonial courthouse, it ends at the site of the original building in Continental Square. There, we highlight how the square came to be, how the lot lines of Thomas Cookson's original 1741 survey still show through, and how the ornate architecture around the square reflects the city's growth over time. Building on that, since last year, I've also been leading walking tours through the Royal Square District, historically York's 6th Ward, a Victorian-era residential neighborhood, and now, of course, a thriving arts community with multiple galleries, artisanal shops, and a network of murals woven throughout. In this tour, we discuss the transition from downtown's dense urban core to the residential urban extension of Royal Square, and the noticeable changes in scale and proportion that come with it. We talk through the industrial sites that once packed this area, manufacturing everything from beer to cars to cigars. This neighborhood was also home to a very tight-knit African-American community whose history has largely been built or paved over, but can still be revealed if you know where to look. My most recent tour in development is the Elmwood tour. Last summer, I was invited by Ryanair Designs on East Market Street to guide a group of professional interior designers through Elmwood, one of York's oldest streetcar suburbs out on the east side. Developed in the early 1900s, Elmwood represents what's known as the eclectic era, when American neighborhoods drew inspiration from a wide range of historic European and American styles. So here you'll find colonial, Tudor, Spanish revivals alongside Cape Cods, prairie-style homes, and later mid-century moderns. On the tour, we explore not only these striking homes and how streetcar transit and wealth shaped the neighborhood, but also traces of the Elmwood farm that once occupied the site. Our last stop is the Elmwood Mansion, the farm's original centerpiece, which was famously relocated 800 feet north by being pulled on timber logs by mules. One of my favorite parts of this Elmwood tour is tracing the path that the house was pulled on those logs. While I originally created this tour for design professionals, it is now being shaped for the general public and hopefully should be available by next tour season. So what exactly does a stop look like on one of my tours? Well, first we start at 40,000 feet with the larger context of what was happening in York or in the neighborhood at the time. And then we focus on the building itself, who lived or worked there, and what role it may have played in the city. And finally, we move all the way down to the details: brickwork, windows, repairs, and the types of mismatches that can show you that something has changed over time. Take the Freisinger building, for example, on West Market Street. While the upper floors of this Victorian mansion were once home to Charles Freisinger and his family, the first floor housed Max Grumbacher's first Bon Ton dry goods store. It was here that Max found tremendous success, building the momentum he needed to eventually construct the flagship Bon-Ton store down the street at the corner of Market and Beaver. But long after the original Bon-Ton left the Freisinger building, a very curious choice was made. The storefront, the original historic storefront, was blended into the facade, removing much of the visible evidence that the Bon-Ton had ever been there. It was completely infilled. On my tour, I point out several ways that you can still spot where the storefront was replaced. The distinct change in the brick color between the old and the new masonry, the repeated pattern of molded concrete panels on the first floor meant to replicate the hewn brownstone of the upper floors, but without the availability of material, as well as the alternating protruding bricks on the first floor that are meant to imitate the upper facade, the original upper facade, without using the curved profiles of the original Victorian brickwork above. I think people love this kind of architectural detective work. It makes each stop on a tour more than, hey, look at this pretty building and we'll move on. It gives people context, story, and details they can connect with, and those are the things that tend to stay with them long after the tours end. Even with that level of detail, the tours are meant for everyone, not just architects or history buffs. I've guided tours from Explore York, Downtown Inc., Penn State's Ollie program, the York Garden Club, York's Renaissance Society, the Lincoln Highway Association, local high school classes, and more. But most often, it's locals who are rediscovering their city. Each tour lasts from about 90 minutes to 2 hours and move at a relatively easy pace with benches and shade available along the way. And as such, all group sizes, abilities, and ages are welcome. Public tours generally run 4 times a month, alternating Fridays and Saturdays, and private tours can, of course, be booked for schools, clubs, and conferences and special events. Each year as well, I plan to add and continue to develop new routes, such as the industrial area of North Street, the Newton Square neighborhood, and a mansion tour of South George Street. So why do these tours matter? Because I think walking connects us to place in a way that nothing else does. I think that the purpose of tours like mine and the work of many other talented local guides is to help resist placelessness, this feeling that towns and suburbs can almost become interchangeable, and to remind people what makes York unique and worth preserving. When people value their city, they invest in it, they share its stories, and they invite others in. That pride of place strengthens communities, helps businesses downtown, and helps to bring new life to the city. On these walks, generations connect. Students, lifelong residents, and visitors all sharing the same streets together. Above all, these tours highlight York's resilience, a city that has remade itself time and time again from industrial powerhouse to, from frontier village, I should say, to industrial powerhouse to arts community. And that spirit of reinvention is more than just history. In today's climate, it shows that civic pride and responsibility are not abstract ideals, but tools communities like York have relied on and can rely on again. One of the most rewarding parts of starting York Architecture Illustrated has been the relationships it's built throughout the community. As a member of the community, it feels meaningful to know that I can have a positive impact on the place around me and also feel that impact come back on me through opportunities and connections and friendships. Those relationships have opened doors that I could have never expected them to. This past year, I had the opportunity to represent York on the PBS show Travels with Darlie, led by travel writer Darlie Newman, and to be included in her book Revolutionary Road Trip, which documents her recent travels through colonial-era American towns, focusing on local history and culture and architecture. I've also been able to teach regularly through the York Art Association, shout out to Roth, with my course, Drawing with an Architect's Eye, which focuses on learning to see everyday places through lines, shapes, and structure. In the last year, I've also been able to use York Architecture Illustrated as a platform for historic preservation advocacy, working with local committees and statewide agencies like Preservation Pennsylvania to bring more attention to York's most vulnerable landmarks. Advocating for these important historic places, I think, cannot just stop at drawing or talking about them. It really needs to be driven by the community and grassroots efforts. Most recently as well, I've also been fortunate to receive a grant from the Bloom Small Business Grant Program alongside all of the other finalists this year. So big thanks to the YCEA. It's very awesome. This grant is going to support a major technological upgrade to the business through a new professional-grade workstation capable of running the same kinds of software that mainstream architecture firms use that I currently don't have access to, unfortunately. Those used to produce high-quality renderings and graphics and visualizations. So a lot more to come in terms of hopefully what I'll be producing. That investment is going to allow me to create immersive educational history materials, develop more in-depth walking tour content, and expand the business into videos, virtual tours, books, and more. As well, I also envision reconstructing, much like I did for the city market, additional lost buildings and neighborhoods within York, including the historic Cadorus Street neighborhood along the creek near South Penn Street, while also developing digital resources for classrooms and community organizations. More than anything, I want to continue finding new ways to help people experience York's history, and I'm very excited for the next phase to come. So over the last few years, York Architecture Illustrated has grown from a personal creative outlet into a small business with a vision of helping people build a deeper connection to their place. And its goal is simple: to help people slow down, look up, and appreciate York for the incredible place that it is. So I invite you to walk with me. Check out my website at yorkarchillustrated.com. That's yorkarchillustrated.com. You can follow along on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram is the main platform that I use to share my work, or sign up for my email newsletter through my website's homepage. And I also have business cards available if anybody should want one. So thank you guys very much for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I'll be happy to take questions.
Kudos. Thank you so much. I think you are pulling together what is probably York's strongest appeal for tourism.
Thank you.
And it's a long time coming. I was born in York, South Pine Street, 900 block. So I've lived here my whole life. I can't tell you how many times people come to town, never been here before, and they see all the things that we just walk by on a regular basis. So I really encourage you, and a terrific presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's not really so much with the city about what is or is not there for me. It's just a matter of how we speak about it and how we seek to elevate it. I think York is a wonderful product that deserves to be sold.
I've enjoyed your renderings, especially on Facebook, and I'm wondering, are they ever going to be on physical display? And specifically, I look at this picture, and I think that should be prominently featured in that neighborhood downtown. I just didn't know if there was a discussion with any of the organizations about that.
There has not yet been, but there's certainly plenty of potential for it. I have all of the pieces I've ever made stacked up, and when they're framed, they take up a lot of space in my place. So we've done a couple gallery shows so far to physically show pieces, but finding permanent homes for them in the places that they're documenting would certainly be a goal. Yeah.
I'm curious where you start your research. Are there certain areas that you go to find information on specific buildings? Like if somebody was interested in their own neighborhood's history or their street that they live on, where would you encourage them to go to find some information or details?
Multifaceted. It comes from numerous sources. At first, I was relying a lot on people themselves, folks who just had access to things that I didn't. But it was through working with them that I kind of learned to fend for myself a bit and learn where these resources were. So generally, I start with any number of what are called Sanborn fire insurance maps. You can Google those. Those are available for public access on Penn State Library's website. And those were drawn by the Sanborn Fire Insurance Company to document the liability of historic towns. There was 3 of them made for York. I think it was 1887, 1893, and 1904. There was an additional map made in 1908 that documented individual business names. Often I'm finding those maps and I'm cross-referencing those with newspaper articles on newspapers.com. That's a great reliable resource, considering how much they have there. So I'm cross-referencing those maps with newspaper articles, resources from the History Center, sometimes the Library of Congress and the county archives. So it's something that evolved organically. It wasn't just, go here and find this. And that was arguably the most frustrating part, is that there's not really a central location for every bit of information you could seek out. But Now I think at this point I've gotten into the rhythm of, I have a solid number of sources. So, but I'd be happy to forward resources to anyone. They are, after all, not mine. Yep.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I've lived my whole life in central Pennsylvania, a lot of it in York. Grew up in Harrisburg, spent time in Reading, and time in Lancaster. And I was particularly intrigued when you were talking about the row homes in York. One of my anecdotal observations is when I have been in those other cities, there have been more of those row homes, whether they've been restored or not, but it has seemed to me there's been a greater volume of those kind of homes in our sister cities in central Pennsylvania than here. Maybe it's my imagination, maybe it's not. I wondered if you could comment on that.
I certainly haven't taken a survey of the row houses and the quantities, nor have I maybe noticed exactly what you have. Not to say it's not present. What I will say is that row homes like this were often during the mid-century when we had much more aggressive demolition policies, policies classifying what was a slum, what was something worthy of demolition as far as the government was concerned. Row houses were often, the first targets. A good deal of the empty patches within downtown York and beyond were once occupied by very dense, often mid-19th century or late Victorian row houses like that. So I can't speak to maybe why there's less than others, if there was a greater bit of demolition action towards those, if there were just less built or fewer built in the first place, because York was a little bit of a smaller town than some of the, Lancaster or some other similar cities. But yeah, that's an interesting observation. I do know that they were often the target for demolition, so a good deal of them, while many remain, many were destroyed. Yep.
Good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
You showed the Union Lutheran Church, the drawing. Where does that stand? Presentation sometime back, but we haven't heard anything since.
Yeah. Oh boy, put me on the spot. So I am in charge of the committee to save Union Lutheran Church. We are not acting on behalf of the church, but as a resource and a guide to them. So we are right now in the process of producing a preservation guide for distribution not only to Union Lutheran Church, but the network of urban congregations throughout the city, hopefully through the city website and the HARB website ideally. But we're working on that guide specifically to provide to the Union Lutheran Church a series of options for them, not to say, this is what this is what you should do. This is what we're barely even giving recommendations. It's meant to be a buffet of options that they can use to hopefully make intelligent decisions on their own that will be preservation oriented. What I can tell you as a member of HARB, that meeting in December that we had was a preliminary meeting. We have not ruled on their ability to demolish the church or not. Although what I will say is that demolition of a building like that in two overlapping historic districts of the significance that it is highly unlikely that will ever occur, unless there is some great conflicting action on the part of the city council. But I will certainly be at every city council meeting that is attempted to make happen. I will, as I have not totally specified to Union Lutheran, I'm not going to let this one go. So, but we are in progress. The committee has met, 6 or 7 times at this point. We have assembled a good deal of research and are really now just putting together the guide that hopefully they will be able to use. Yes. One more.
All right. Blake, thanks so much for serving on the Buildings and Grounds Committee at the History Center.
Thank you, John.
You're a valuable resource. My question really dovetails on the last question. Can you give us your maybe personal opinion, but professional opinion about preservation of historic structures? Because there are various issues. There are private ownership rights versus community interest.
Yeah.
It's always money involved.
Yeah.
And we can't save everything.
Sure.
So do you want to offer an opinion on your thoughts on that?
Sure. I'm sorry.
In 30 seconds.
In 30 seconds. Well, I agree. We certainly can't save everything. It is unrealistic to say, let's hold on to every single historic building. Let's preserve them as immaculately as we can, according to whatever the opinion of the preservationist is in terms of what is preserved. We cannot do that. However, what we can do is start with a preservation mindset from the beginning. even if in the end that is not the direction that is taken, if the demolition of the structure is done. I think we should always be starting with the philosophy of how much can we save, not how much can we get away with tearing down, which is the way a lot of developers approach these problems, unfortunately. I think they need to start with a maintenance of the existing conditions and work backwards from there. Even if in the end all we save is a brick pier, that's a brick pier that can have a marker on it that can help us visualize physically history in some way, and that's what's mainly important to me.
Thank you so much, Blake, for joining us today and for presenting on York Architecture Illustrated. I think it was a terrific program. Certainly gave me some thoughts about maybe a future Rotary networking event, maybe one of the walking tours. I really enjoyed the Phantom Places drawings. That was pretty neat to see both the past and the present. I also thought back to about a year or so ago when our own Preserve Planet Earth Committee led the tree planting project on Market Street. And I was curious at some of the public comments on Facebook and other platforms and seeing so many people comment on, you could now see the architecture so much better on Market Street. So again, thank you for bringing the topic here to us today. Hopefully you can stick around for a couple minutes. I'll apologize in advance if past President Jody is going to be cornering you with whatever questions she had. But again, as you all know, we do present our speaker, or we ask our speaker to sign the book plate that today will be donating to the Warner Early Learning Center, Child Care Center, along with a bookmark made by students at Creative York. And today's book, It's Okay to Make Mistakes. So keep that in mind as I suffer through this year. There'll be more mistakes coming at least from the podium as long as I'm here. Next week, our program will, the theme will kind of continue next week. Dylan Bauer, the president and CEO of Royal Square Development and Construction, a mission-driven company dedicated to revitalizing downtown York through thoughtful development and community investment. Dylan will walk us through several exciting new projects currently underway in and around downtown New York. I'll be closing out all of our meetings for the upcoming year with a final thought or a quote, some historic, some rap lyrics. We're going to mix it up as we go. But today, from Ralph Waldo Emerson, do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. So with that, we are adjourned.